Cascade Hoops Talk, bringing the world NAI basketball one podcast at a time. Good morning, Cascade Hoops Talk. Billy D. Hey, this is episode 6. Hey, we're chugging right along this season. We're well into October now. You better be getting excited about college basketball. Today we're going to have Colby Blaine. He's the head men's basketball coach at College of Idaho. You know, a team I follow close. They're out here in the Cascade Conference. Colby's entering his 4th season. He's done an absolutely wonderful job at the College of Idaho. His very first season, he took them to the Final Four. The next year, they went unbeaten in the Cascade Conference, something that most observers still don't think it'll be done again. And then they won 25 games going into the national tournament, which, as you remember, was canceled for COVID. And then last season, they again won the Cascade Conference, got to Kansas City. In the Final 8, they played Loyola. A coach is going to talk about, I'll tell you what, they had them beat. A couple bad possessions right there at the end, and Loyola was able to survive. Coach will talk about that game. He'll talk about some of his graduating seniors and, talk about he's got just a couple newcomers he's going to talk about. But, boy, he's got them loaded coming back, and these are young guys for the most part. College of Idaho is going to be around for a while. College of Idaho is one of the best basketball venues outside Oregon Tech that I've been in. We talk about that. I really appreciate Coach Blaine, a real nice guy, always gives me time whenever I ask, and it's a great basketball community over there in Caldwell. So let's take a listen to Colby Blaine, head men's basketball coach, the College of Idaho. Cascade Hoop Talk, Billy D. Hey, I got Colby Blaine. He's head men's basketball coach at College of Idaho. Thank you, Colby, for being on the show.
You bet, Billy D. I'm excited to be back.
You know, you had last season was a great run. You've had several. I mean, if you go back to 18-19, you know, you made the Final Four. The next year you did something that a lot of people still can't believe happened. You went unbeaten in the Cascade Conference. You went on a 25-game win streak going into the tournament. Of course, the tournament got canceled for COVID. And then last season you were Cascade Conference champions again. And then you went into the Final 8. So you've had, College of Idaho has had an amazing run. Just talk about you've got to feel like you're just on a heck of a ride, Colby.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we did a little research this summer, and I hesitate because I can't say it's official, but I truly believe through our research that we are the only men's basketball program in the country at any level, junior college through all the way up to NCAA Division I, that has won 30-plus games in our last 4 regular seasons. And, you know, here at College of Idaho, we don't talk about winning and losing a ton, but we do take a lot of pride in the fact that we're consistent and we're finding ways to win close ones, and we're finding ways to, break games open. And so it has been a heck of a run for sure.
And a lot of that has to do with your culture and the people that are surrounding College of Idaho Yote basketball. I want to talk about that. But before we do, let's get the bad subject out of the way. You had a really good run. You went to Kansas City. Boy, you guys really did well there. You ran into Loyola, arguably the best team in the country. They won the national championship, but nobody was expecting them to even get beat. And you came within an eyelash. You know, there's a couple things I want to ask you about that game, but just walking away from that must have left a pit in your stomach because you had them.
Yeah. And I want to give Loyola credit. They were certainly the best team in the country last year. They put together the regular season resume, and then they finished it in the tournament. So I definitely have a ton of respect for them. But we when we saw the brackets come out on the the release day for the national tournament, we saw hey, if we keep winning, we're going to be paired up with the number 1 team in the country. And sure enough, that game happened, and our guys were excited about it, and it was a heck of a game. But you are 100% right. We left feeling like we left something on the table. We had gone to the Final Four in 17-18 and 18-19, and we left feeling pretty accomplished. And I know this team from last year is hungry to try and get that Elite 8 game back.
So I got a couple questions about and I guarantee you we'll never talk about that game again. But it must have been mixed emotions Not at the moment. At the moment, you probably hated it. But afterwards, it had to be mixed emotions that Jalen Galloway was the guy who hit that big three, I think, with 50 seconds to go. I mean, you were a guy who believed in Jalen early on. For personal reasons, he decided to go down to Loyola. Talk about those mixed emotions you must have felt.
Yeah, well, when we saw that game could be paired up, that was the first thing that came to mind.
I bet.
And what a storyline for both teams and everybody involved. But Jalen played such a good role here with us and really helped us build our program for 3 years. And he ended up moving on to another program that had some better situations for him in terms of his family and all that stuff.
Right.
And so how can you fault him? And then he had a chance to basically win the game for him, to take the lead with about a minute and a half left, and he hit it. And it's kind of surreal because we spent so many hours in the gym working on our shot and working on dealing with pressure moments and all that. And so to see him follow through with that is pretty cool for him. But really honestly, Billy D, we did not make that game about that rivalry, I guess you could call it. We didn't talk about it as a team. It was Loyola versus College of Idaho, but kudos to Jalen. He went and won himself a national championship.
One more question, I promise is the last one. Has this play run through your head 100 times? Zach Reitzel, I think might have been Wadsworth, I think. There was a play inside a minute, could have been a block or a charge. It was a 50-50. It was called a block. I mean, how many times have you watched, the play I'm talking about. How many
100%.
how many times have you replayed that in your head in the off season?
Yeah, well, I did not watch the game for about 2 or 3 weeks, but I have now since watched it about 10 times. There's multiple times this summer I just pulled it up at about 10 o'clock, but we were up 5 with about a minute and a half to go, maybe about 2 minutes when that play happened. They got a rebound, pushed it down the court, and it was a 50-50 block charge, and they ended up calling block, and it was an and one. And the biggest review of that is that we were up 3 possessions, up 5 points.
Right.
And when I look back at the 2 shots that they made 2 3-point plays. And so I even tell our guys, man, if they would have just made 2 2-point plays, we still would have been up 1 with about a minute left, and then things are different. So that play is replayed. But Derek Wadsworth was doing exactly what we trained him to do, try to get in front, take the charge. And at the end of the day, too, if you're going to lose a game, I'm going to lose it with the senior who's won us a ton of games. And
Absolutely.
so we had Derek in the right spot, and it just didn't go our way.
Let's take a minute. You've lost, you haven't lost a ton, but you lost some guys who have been really important to the program. We just talked about Derek Wadsworth, who, by the way, one of the nicest guys in all of the Cascade Conference. Just talk about I compare him a lot to Scotty Burge. He's just one of those kind of guys that does everything on the court you need.
Yeah, he's a winner. The kid came in from Preston High School with 3 state championships as their starting point guard, and then if you break down his record with us, it's pretty incredible. I think he won 3 conference championships with us and started a bunch of games, and really overachieved for lack of better terms, for his body type. He wasn't gifted with tons of speed and size. He was gifted with big time IQ and a winner spirit, and he utilized it. But yeah, he had a great career for us, and he had a chance to come back and use his COVID year, but his alma mater high school, Preston High School, offered him a math teaching job and an assistant varsity basketball coaching job. And we all just looked at each other and said, you got to go. It was pretty cool for him to have that opportunity.
And as I say, great guy from a great family. I got to know his dad through the years. And Derek, if you listen to this, best wishes, and I really appreciated your time in the Cascade Conference. Another guy was Ivory Miles Williams. Was he a 4-year guy there?
He did 5 years with us.
Okay.
Last year was his COVID year.
But he came straight from high school. He really grew throughout his career. He was kind of a role player, and then he grew to where he was a big time leader last season.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know that I've ever seen a young man have as big an impact on a group of people that Ivory does. I mean, we're going to talk about it a lot more, but when you talk about culture is creating a safe place. It's creating a place where people can grow. And we had that with Ivory. That wasn't our coaching staff. That was Ivory creating this culture that was strong. And so we do lose a big leader on our team for sure.
And you lose your best fan. I mean, his mother, she ran that cheering section.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping she'll join us for a couple games for sure and keep that going. But
yeah, you might have to. You might have to get a taxi service for her. No, she loves College Idaho basketball, and she's a great fan.
Absolutely.
And then a guy just lights out. Known early, I think he played 2 years. Ricardo Time. Yep. His first year, he was known as a 3-point shooter, but he really widened his game last year and was penetrating a lot more. He really meant a lot to you guys the last couple of years, didn't he?
Absolutely. Well, his leadership was huge too. He did it in his own way. He's kind of a quiet leader, but he was consistent effort. You knew what you were going to get out of him every night. But the biggest things that him and these other seniors were talking about, he could handle pressure. He could hit shots under pressure and in big moments. And the thing that we actually loved knowing about him last year was he was our free throw guy. I think he finished the year in the high 80%. And so anytime we needed free throws at the end of the game, he would close out the game for us, and he did it really, really well.
Yeah, 87%. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. And he got to the line a lot.
Yeah, he definitely got downhill. But in scouting reports, we'd prepped him for that coming into the season, that people were going to run him off the three-point line. And so he did really expand his game. And that's, kudos to our conference for recognizing his impact. He only averaged 12.5 points and 26 minutes a game as our leading minute getter, but the conference voted him the player of the year. And I appreciate our coaches recognizing that.
Yeah, and like I say, he really expanded his game his senior year, and it made him a much better basketball player. Not obviously he could still shoot lights out, but he added another aspect to his game, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You mentioned Colby culture, and you and I have talked about this before, but there's several teams throughout the NAI that have just deep cultures. Bethel in Indiana Wesleyan. I'm going to get somebody mad at me, but your school is definitely one of them, has a deep basketball culture. Just talk about what that is and what it means to your program.
Well, everybody talks about culture and everybody works on it, right? And you have to, if you want to be a great team or a great program, you gotta be connected. But we truly believe here that it is our separator. Like even in January and February, we don't stray away from trying to get a better culture and do offense and defense. Like we try all year long to strengthen our culture. And really for us, it's just an awareness that we need to grow as individuals. Like the ultimate goal for us is to win a national championship. We know that. But the question is, how do you actually do it? And what we believe here is that it's all about who you have to become to actually achieve these big goals. And so we constantly are working on who we need to be. And that's what helps build our culture a ton, is that every individual in our program is striving to become better. And that sounds cliche, but we do a bunch of, little icebreaker challenges and stuff throughout the year to really see if we can grow ourselves as people. But a big part of that is really just trying to create a safe environment where guys can be vulnerable. And as they are, that's where you see our team strengthen. And if you've noticed, Billy, you've been to a lot of our games. When we hit mid-January, February, our scores really start to separate. And you can feel the vibe and the positive vibe and the strength, and that's coming from a really strong culture. But the other thing I'll throw in there really quick is it is to have the type of culture that we believe we have and that we thrive on. It takes a village. And our College of Idaho campus is incredible, from the professors to the administration to the traditional students who support us to the other sports teams. And then our community is incredible for showing up every night and 1,500 fans on average every night rooting us on. It's a big deal. So it takes a village.
Told you this before, but you have except for Oregon Tech, you have the best fans I've ever been around. I go to all the road games, that Colby, a lot of gyms, because I'm a loud fan, a lot of gyms, I feel like I need an escort walking out. But when I come into College of Idaho, I have people that I've seen a number of years. They come over to me, talk to me before the game. It's almost like a home game, and everybody knows you're going to root for a different team, but everybody knows everybody's there for the same reason, to cheer for your team. And I really, really enjoy going out to College Idaho and watching back. I've made some really good friends out there. And, I just want to tell you, you should be very, very proud of that atmosphere. And then I got to tell everybody who's listening that this is something about Colby Blaine. This is how special he treats the gym before the game. He wants to make sure that everybody there is welcome. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but you will go over to the students, and this guy Colby even came over. I sitting behind the Oregon Tech bench. I'm getting ready to stand up and cheer for his guys to get beat, and he comes down the way 15 minutes before the game and tells me hello and thank you for being there. And I got my Oregon Tech gear on. Now there's a guy who is really doing it for the right things and not only just reaching out to people who can help him in the moment. So, that really impressed me when you did that, Colby, and I just wanted to pass that on.
Well, I appreciate that. I have to give some credit to two of my mentors. One, Scott Garson, who was my former boss here at the College of Idaho and had a ton of success here too. He really taught me that, going out into the crowd before the game is actually a great way to kind of relieve the stress instead of sitting back in the locker room by yourself. So I actually really enjoy getting out before the game and saying hi to people. But I'll give everybody a little nugget too. A mentor of mine, Jeremy Cox, he's the associate head coach at UTEP right now. He taught me when I worked for him after the games to send everybody into the crowd and thank them for coming. And so when we break after a home game, all of our players and our staff, we go into the crowd, both sides, and we shake hands and we thank people for coming. And it has been, potentially if there's some young coaches out here listening that are going to take over programs, it might be the number one thing that we've done to really make sure we connect with our community and just thank them for supporting us. So, I love getting out there and seeing everybody before and after the games.
So Colby, let's talk about this team you have coming back. The fans in Caldwell need to know the cupboard's definitely not bare. I want to start with everything in basketball starts with the guards, especially in the NAI and the Cascade Conference. You don't win a conference championship without a great guard. But you have Caden Handran. He was a true freshman last year, 110 assists. He's from Scobie, Montana, which is my dad's old stomping grounds. But he's 6'6". He can see the entire court. What's his upside? I mean, it's pretty high, isn't it?
Oh, geez. You just asked a big-time question right there. Of all the questions you could have asked about him, you just said, what's his upside? I have told our staff, I literally think his upside is beyond the sky. I mean, I think it's limitless. And the reason I say that is because you can pinpoint things that on every player that maybe they aren't very efficient at yet. But some of the things for him, he's a skinny kid, so, he needs to put some weight on. He traditionally has not shot it from the perimeter. It's something that he needs to work on. But those are the things he can work on. But he was gifted with a 6'6" body, high IQ, basketball IQ, with a winner spirit. I mean, he went 99-3 in high school. The kid does not know what losing is. And so he has all these attributes that they make his potential limitless.
Yeah, I think having, especially his height, and he's long, I think it's a huge advantage, and he has great floor presence. He's not a scorer yet, but that can definitely come. You also have a couple other starters. You have a lot of guys who played a lot of minutes, but Tyler Robinette, and then another guy that has just astounded everybody, Drew Wyman. Drew scored 12 points, 5 rebounds. Robin 8 points, 5 rebounds. You have a lot of rebounding coming back.
With those two guys, you just mentioned rebounding. We have committed. We want to be the number one rebounding team in the country. We missed it. We were second place last year in rebound margin to William Penn. We missed it by 0.1. So we needed one more rebound in our final game. But yeah, with all these guys coming back, that we really feel like we can rebound. But Robinette and Wyman were both freshmen in that lineup last year. Both have really grown their bodies over. They really committed this summer and have developed their bodies. Robinette actually needed to put some strength on, and Wyman actually has slimmed down a little bit, but he's stronger than he's ever been. And so their conditioning's great. Their confidence is awesome, and I expect them to be a big part of our rotation.
Well, if you came up 1/10 short on rebounds, I think we should blame Jake ONeill. I tell you, that guy gets I've never seen a guy who comes up with not only rebound, every loose ball. If the ball's loose, Jake ONeill gets it. And I love it. Ricardo Time told me when I interviewed him after the season that you were in a tight game. And Jake ONeill goes up to him and says, just shoot the ball. If you miss, I'll get it.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice as a shooter to hear that a couple times, huh?
But
Yeah,
he's the
Jake,
best rebounder, I think, and he's not that big.
no, he's just relentless, is what he is.
He's a pest.
He is a pest, and I love that he's on our side. Or else, I'd try to exterminate him if he was on the other side, right? If he was in our way. But when you really look at our stats, we have some great rebounders, and he is above and beyond. I think he averaged 8 last year on a team that was second in the country in rebounds. There's other guys trying to take boards from him. It's a joke in practice. Everybody vies for the rebounds in our drills, but he comes up with them. Funny thing about him too is, if he didn't get 15 rebounds in a game, we would joke around in the locker room that he was, maybe being soft that night, or, what was wrong? Is something wrong? And it was quite a joke with the team that we expected 15 to 20 rebounds a game out of him.
The big thing for Jake, obviously the rebounds are big, but he'd get a lot of offensive rebounds and then kick them out. Yeah. I mean, and a lot of, you know what that happens then, right? Those are backbreakers.
Absolutely. We actually statistically have figured out that offensive rebounds have led to our highest points per possession. And so, I mean, it's been a big thing for us with our offense is like, guys, shoot it with confidence. Because if you miss it, we've got great offensive rebounders, and then we're actually statistically in the best position to score at that point.
I definitely don't want to leave any out. You've got some other guys coming back with some experience. Charles Elsie, he had a good season for you last year. He played 18 minutes a game. And then also Johnny Radford, he was a freshman last season. He played 14 minutes a game. They both had good production for you last year.
Yeah, both very dynamic guards. They're totally different, right? What I really love about our guard lineup this year is everybody does something totally different. But Charles is a strong, athletic defender, can really get downhill and distribute as well. He's had a great summer and spring. I really, truly believe he's undervalued on the stat sheet because we really spread our stats out. And so if you look at his stat line from last year, you would, and if you didn't know him, you wouldn't know how much he does for our team. But he brings so much athleticism and toughness. I've never once seen him not play his hardest. In the 3 years he's been here, going on year 4, he plays as hard as anybody I've ever coached before. And then you have Johnny Radford, who was a freshman for us last year, who's as dynamic a scorer as I've ever really coached. You know, he can shoot it a lot of different ways. And I really think that, his stat line too, he only got a chance to play about 14 minutes a game last year. I think he's got a chance to really showcase what his talent is this year now that Ricardo and Derek have graduated and kind of opened up some minutes maybe at that scoring guard position.
Colby, if we look at the post, you have Paul Wilson, who is now a veteran as a sophomore. He played really well last year. And then is Tyler Harris still going to be his backup?
Yeah, they're battling right now. I mean, we play Robinette at the 5 as well. And so we have as deep and as experienced a post position as we've ever had, and they are battling this fall. It's been really fun to see. But if you remember, Harris actually did not have a chance to really be in our rotation much last year, and we got to the Sweet 16, got into some foul trouble with both Robinette and Wilson, and we threw Harrison for 7 straight minutes, and he was fantastic against the big kid from Grace. It was very good. So
yeah, I remember that.
We have some great experience with our bigs there.
Yeah, you guys did a really good job on Elijah Malone.
Yes.
And another guy you shut down that surprised me a little bit is because he's a bit like Paul ONeill is the name just escaped me. The freshman there, Jake Wadding.
Yep, absolutely.
But you guys did a good job on him. Before we get done with your team, I want to talk about a freshman you got coming in. I know it's hard to, talk about freshmen, but I've been following Samaje Morgan. I think I say his first name right, for a few years down at Churchill. Everybody knew he was going to go to college. Idaho. It was kind of an open secret in the basketball world. And now he's there. Just talk about what he may be able to contribute this season.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to have Samaje with us. He was our main focus for sure to start the recruiting last summer. I mean, well over a year ago. And he ended up being the 5A state player of the year in Oregon. And so we're thrilled that we're able to, continue to get the best players in each state. But he is an ultra quick, jet point guard, about 5'9", as his career develops, he certainly will put some weight on, but that'll come with time. But really high IQ. And one thing I'm super excited about for him is he has a scoring package that can be really beneficial, potentially late game or maybe even late shot clock. Where, if you choose to go under a ball screen, he can raise up and get his shot off. Or if you choose to go over the ball screen, he's quick enough to get downhill and make the right pass or jump up and finish. So, I think as his career goes on, I think you'll see a guy who's really hard to guard, which, I'll say a name that'll, you'll know very well, but Mitchell Fink, end of game, OIT, a couple of years ago, our conference player of the year.
Yeah.
He's got that same type of swagger and knowledge and game about him. So he's got a real chance to impact our team this year.
Yeah, I think, time will tell. I mean, freshmen are freshmen, but he definitely comes in with a strong pedigree known all throughout the state of Oregon. Colby, before I let you go, you're not fighting for the Cascade champ. You seem to just be winning it every year here lately. It's going to be a battle again this season. Eastern has went out and kind of revamped themselves. Eddie over at ONeill, he's brought in a bunch of new guys. Lewis Clark State's going to be there. Northwest has a new coach up there. Multnomah is coming on. That's not going to be a gimme anymore. SOU has a new coach. They've recruited really, really well. They're going to be tough. Oregon Tech lost a lot of guys, but Justin's went out and recruited pretty well. Just talk about that gauntlet of the Cascade.
Yeah, well, I do. You mentioned all these teams. I think the league has done a really nice job of pushing the envelope and bringing in the needs that each team needs for themselves. But that'll push our conference, to potentially 3 or 4 teams at the national tournament, which we're excited about. I think you've noticed the Cascade Conference has had a lot of success at the national tournament year in and year out, and I think it's because we have a chance to play in these high intense games all conference long. But we want the challenge again. We have had an opportunity to win the conference these last couple of years, and one of the things we're very aware of, and I think you can see this in every program, but a lot of times you have some stories that, of maybe a failure that didn't quite go your way, and you use that as motivation for the next year, and it's what propels a program over the top. And these last couple of years, we've had some great success, but a lot of that was coming from different stories that we have in our program. Well, right now, we have to be very conscious that we keep telling the right stories, because if we get complacent, we dang well know that this conference is going to come and beat us up for sure. So we're trying to stay very focused, one game at a time, make sure that we earn it. Our October practices are fantastic right now, or our late September practices. But I am very excited about the league. I think we're really heading in the right direction. And
then, Colby, real quick, I just want to touch on your schedule. You're going to start out the season a couple of just really, really tough games. You're going to go down and play Arizona Christian. That's going to be a home game for them. And then you're going to play Ottawa. It won't be a home game for them, but down in Arizona. Boy, that's going to be – what a way to start the season.
Yeah, we wanted to challenge ourselves. We have 12 returners back, and had we won that Elite Eight game, we would have played Arizona Christian in the Final Four.
Right. And
so we almost see it as just a continuation. From we just take those last 2 minutes out, and we feel like we're just continuing down the tournament here. But we need these games. Billy D, win or lose, we're going to get so much more either way out of playing these games than we do out of games that don't challenge us as much. And so our guys are thrilled. They're excited. I think it's a big reason a lot of our guys want to be here. We're going to play the best schedule we can every year. And I've got a ton of respect for Ottawa. We ended up getting to play them in the round of 32 last year. Matt Keeley does a great job down there. I know he's got guys coming back and reloaded. And so what a great chance for us to play against 2 really good teams. And like I said, win or lose, we're going to learn something about ourselves.
Colby, one last thing about your schedule. I was looking at, I know you've you know what it is, but you're going to be pretty close to home between now and the end of the year. It's kind of an odd setup. But then after the first week in January, you're going to be on long road trips for that last month. A lot of teams like to have the best part early on, or the home games later. Or does it just not matter to you? You just got to win them all anyway.
Our focus certainly is to win each one, but some of it's out of our control, where our conference schedule, right? The last 10 of our 16 conference games are on the road. And so that's why I think it's just so log jammed at home before Christmas, because we just happen to have home conference games before Christmas. If you look at our schedule next year, our first 4 conference games will be on the road. And so it's kind of just by chance. But, I think sometimes people get caught up in their locations, their game times, all of this stuff. And we tell our guys all the time, hey, if you're going to go to the national tournament, you might play at 8 a.m. You might play at 11 p.m. You might remember one year at Branson, there was a tornado warning.
Right, I remember that.
They had to shut the games down, and they didn't resume until midnight. And so, I love the adversity of it. And a secret for us is we actually become a lot closer when we get on the road. We're on that bus together, and we're enjoying each other's company. And so I'm excited about having 10 games on the road down the stretch, because I really think our team will grow through that.
Colby, I really appreciate you being on the show. I mean, congratulations to you and to all of College of Idaho, the success you've had the last few years. I can't wait to get back on the road. I'll see you early in the season. I'll see you early in the season over in Caldwell, but congratulations on your success to this point, and best of luck as the season starts.
Yeah, well, we appreciate it. It's December 2nd and 3rd, I think, is when we have our OIT Southern weekend. So I'll make sure we save you a seat and have a water bottle for you. All right?
Okay, that's Colby Blaine. He's head men's basketball coach at College Idaho. Thank you very much, Colby. I appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks, Billy.
Hey, thank you very much to Coach Blaine. I always enjoy having a conversation with him, talking about basketball. As he said, I'll be over there early in December. That's always a great road trip, going out to Eastern Oregon and College, Idaho. It's a long trip, but both those schools have great fans. I love that road atmosphere. I absolutely love it. So I'm really looking forward to that. Thanks again to Coach Blaine and to College of Idaho. Hey, all of you, look at your school's schedule. I know I say this every time, but you got to get out and watch this NAIA basketball. And again, it's not going to break the bank, because NAIA basketball is the best entertainment value in America.